I signed up to speak, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why. But I'm telling you. I mean, I don't care if you are, but you might care.
What?
Just now.
It's live. Good evening, Knights Unite.
There in the front. There we are. How you doing, Sarah? I saw you in the newspaper this week. I'll tell you.
I see. How about that?
Dino,
Yeah,
how you doing?
doing okay.
Okay.
I know, I brought it late.
So just, I didn't know. I didn't know.
If anybody else signs it, just
I figured that.
Lady houses. Stores. Did I sign? Voice. So you're Lloyd, right?
No, we could engender, and I don't.
thanks.
She was 17.
No,
19.
19.
Yeah. It's all her. You get it. Especially for the floods or the hills going on. Come on, come on.
I left a message on it. So,
He's going. He's going.
keep on.
He's listening probably right now. He might hear us. He should go right in there and talk.
I can.
Yeah, he's probably. I got 4 viewers, and one of them is probably my husband.
Josh, you need to call me and let me know what's up.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Fairfield Area School Board to order. We'll lead off with the pledge. Thank you. Carolyn, may we have a roll call? Here.
Matthews,
Here.
Michael. Here. Dan Peter.
Here.
Mr. Wickhoff.
Here. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the March 9, 2015 board meeting minutes? Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The board met in executive session this evening from 6 to 7, a little short of 7, for confidential personnel and legal matters. Okay, so now we'll go on to presentations and reports. The first presentation will be KNEX presentations, middle school gifted support students. Back here in the corner. There we go.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm responsible for that. My name is Marcy Kozak, and I am a gifted support teacher here at Fairfield, K to 12. This particular group of students are my middle school students with some enrichment students as well. Earlier this year, we were going to participate in the 2015 STEM Design Challenge, sponsored by the LIU. And what the challenge was that they were to create something. It didn't have to be a vehicle, it didn't have to be anything in particular. The only parameters they were given was that they had to build something out of Connects. And if you don't know what a Connects is, it's kind of Lincoln Logish, but smaller design, Lego designish. But the pieces all interlock together, and they're used a lot in education for STEM design. So their project was that they had to create something that could carry a ping pong ball 4 feet. and it had to have a motor. That was the only parameters they were given. Now this group of students, we took a group last year, took one team last year to the LIU, and that team finished second. So of course this year, let's take 3 teams. We prepared, they worked very, very hard on these, we're gonna call them contraptions because they're not really vehicles, so we're not really sure what to call them because you'll see that they're all different. They all work, there's 3 different teams, they work independently. One's a 5th grade team, one's a 6th grade team, and one's a 7th and 8th grade team combined. And unfortunately, the day of the competition, we were unable to participate because of the weather. Needless to say, we had some extremely disappointed students and one extremely disappointed teacher. But they rallied, they came through, and so we wanted to showcase their projects tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to the teams, and they're going to tell you who the participants were for the teams and how they kind of came about their particular apparatus. One thing I do have to say is they were being judged on creativity, the presentation, blueprints. They all created blueprints for their structures, as well as teamwork. Sometimes that teamwork is the one that gets us every time, but they persevered, they came through. There's a lot of creative minds right here, and they did an amazing job. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Carstetter, who is in 5th grade, and she's going to introduce her team to you.
Hi. Hello. We are Ms. Kozak's 5th grade students. This is Amanda Crossley. I'm Ruth Carstetter. That's Rachel Murdorf and Nathan Shaw. We built a contraption that moves a ping pong ball 4 feet. Here's Amanda.
We all had different ideas, but we came up with that in the end. And I wanted to say thank you for the idea of just doing that and letting the school do this project. And I want to say thank you for making the decision that we needed to come back to school because I was afraid the birds were going to get too yucky and it wasn't going to be safe for all of the kids. And I want to say thank you, Ms. Kozak, for being our teacher and leading us in this through the hard and easy times. Thank you.
So if you guys want to show, they designed it's kind of like a conveyor system, which is totally different than what the other students did. It's kind of a unique situation. This started out as a lean tower pizza. That was one of their ideas, and then they came upon this. We did shorten it a little bit so that we could carry it down here. It was originally 4 feet. Okay. So that's how this particular challenge of moving a ping pong ball that far. My 6th grade students, I will introduce them because I have 4 of them, but 2 of them are here. My 6th grade students were Isabel Lehman, Evan Ewing, Bryce Schneider, and Colby Redding. Colby and Bryce are not here tonight. This was the team, or part of the team that actually came in 2nd last year. And they went a little bit conventional, so to speak, with the vehicle, but then they decided that that wasn't creative enough. So they actually built an apparatus of a slide to slide the ping pong ball into the vehicle itself. So they're going to demonstrate it for you now. That's where my big pom balls are. And if it were not, no, it would have been good. Our final group is our 7th and 8th grade group, and we turn it over to Claudia, so.
So our members up on the stage on our left is Haley Wagner. On the right is Abby Goddard, and back here with me is Lexi Ogle. We decided to create a two-piece mechanism, and the one that goes we named James, which stands for just another magnificent engineering success. I'm Lexi, and creating these projects, it was especially difficult for us since we are all amazing and we all want to be leaders, and we all have these great ideas that we fit into this. And what would happen with our structures is the cage would drop from the one on the right, and then it would move while it's on the table, and then it would go over top the edge of the table and drop down into the tower. We did the tower for like creative points, and it took a very long time, both of these, and they're both amazing structures.
This particular one does it all on its own. They engineered it so that they don't touch it at all. I'm not sure if you can see, but it actually released the ball and it's now moving backwards on its own.
And for the competition, it would have released the ball at the edge of the table into that tower and then moved back on its own. Just one more thing while I have everybody here. My students also participated in this last month in a advertisement design challenge for newspapers and education. And two of my students' drawings were chosen to be in the paper. One of them is Haley Wagner. Raise your hand, Haley. Haley isn't here tonight, but these guys worked a really long time, and they do deserve a lot of credit. They did a fantastic job. And thank you so much for letting us present you our designs tonight.
Thank you very much, students, for job well done and for sharing that with us.
You can just leave them there. We'll get them later, guys.
Okay, next up on the agenda is Ms. Karen Kugler with the 5-year plan.
One of the objectives I was given was to develop a 5-year plan. So what I have done is I've met with all the administrators and asked them to identify needs within each of the building, across the campus, and to prioritize them into years and to be able to justify why they're where they are. We've spent a lot of time on this, arguing as to what goes in what year. And what you have in front of you is what the administration is now projecting and recommending. Needless to say, the superintendent position needs to be replaced. And you will see that that salary includes benefits. That is not just the salary. That is everything. Assistant to the superintendent is a position that I've proposed to the board to replace the coordinator of curriculum and special programs. It splits that position a little bit more evenly so that that person can focus on the areas they need to focus on. And again, that salary is salary and benefits. The world language teacher, this year, the high school, we rented, borrowed, contracted from Upper Adams a part-time French teacher. We've been now told that Upper Adams needs that person full-time next year. So we are back to not having somebody to teach a second language, which is required by the state Chapter 12 regulations. So Mr. McDowell and I are in the process of trying to determine how we find a world language teacher and how we also provide kids in French 3 and 4 the opportunity to complete those 2 years. We're talking about transferring the half-time English teacher, who right now is split between the middle school and high school, strictly to the high school, and that's based on the keystones of what's called a project-based assessment. Those kids will need remediation as well as the complete PBAs if they don't pass the keystone. Maintenance is looking to realign the job descriptions and based on training responsibilities. We have some very qualified and unique individuals in our maintenance department who really, with a little bit of training, would become, how do I want to say that, Howie? How do I want to say that, Howie? With a little bit of training, they would become, okay, okay. Able to do stuff. Able to do stuff that we now pay other people to do. The transportation business office clerk, actually, there's no amount there because we actually transferred somebody into that position and not hire somebody new for that position. Increase in the hours, a half an hour to all the IDEA, which are the special ed aides and the elementary aides. I know Mrs. Mikesel had asked me to include all the aides. So we went back and did a study, and for $14,000, we can actually increase all those people to 6.5 hours, which is considered here full-time status for that position. Mrs. Barber, you're making me seasick. Okay. The big thing is we need calculators for our keystones. The big thing there are the laptops. When I looked at our comprehensive plan, and we are now in the middle of our 6th year, starting next year, and we are actually going to have to readdress our comprehensive plan, we have one technology goal with the comprehensive plan, and that is to go to one-to-one computing. Well, needless to say, when I look at the budget and I look at what we have, there's no way we can afford to outfit every kid with a laptop. But we can afford to do it in incremental steps. So what I'm looking at is to go with 11th and 12th graders next year with laptops, 24/7. And why do I start with that grade? Well, we're looking to start with that grade because of the keystones and the PBAs and the requirement for assessments for those grade levels and the remediation that has to be completed. Could you just scroll a little more to the right? The other way, the other way. All right. Okay. We're looking at replacing the high school gym wall mats. Of course, we need uniforms. The reason the one is highlighted in yellow for building security, we actually currently were awarded a school safety grant that was written at the beginning of the year, and it was written for things we aren't going to use, to a tune of $28,000. So I've actually contacted the state, because what I'd like to do is be able to move that money into a different object code and buy us the cameras that we so badly need in the high school and middle school for the interior. I've also asked our technology director and maintenance director to look at how many cameras we need to outfit the elementary interior, so we have security in every building. The televisions are just replacements. Everything there is just pretty much common stuff day to day. We are also looking to move the teachers to laptops and getting rid of desktop, the big things on their desk, so they will have one laptop that they can use for the projection systems as well as take with them when they go. As we move down to the buildings, you will see mobile labs in the middle school and elementary, and that's done so that those kids still have access to the computers through the years where they don't have one-to-one at the time. This is all software and technology equipment. And if anybody has a specific question, I have all the experts here. I made them all come tonight, so they're all here to answer the questions. Year 2? I'm sorry, say year 1. Yes, Mr. Thomas.
Who's going to monitor the 28 cameras?
Mr. Crevier? The current budget or the projected budget? The one you're going to see? Caroline has put this stuff in there, and we are talking. Yes, Becky? Why not? You know, you're all going to see it now, so it's. The reason it's not there is because poor Caroline doesn't even have it as the latest, because I made changes up until about an hour ago. So, yeah, no, I will put it out there. Sarah?
My question is about the technology stuff, and obviously, especially one person. Is there going to be any discussion on other options? I don't expect him to have time to spend researching other options and things, but I know some people in your district that have a whole lot of experience in this type of education, and might be plenty of ideas of ways to accomplish something.
Okay. And to answer your question, we maybe would go to year 2, and that might answer some of it.
I have a question to the laptop. So, you say seniors and laptop. What requires software on there to put the students out in order to say allocate
The advantage of going one-to-one, the reason why you would want to go one-to-one district-wide, is eventually you will get rid of textbooks, because everything will be on the laptops. And to answer your question, they won't be moved down to other grades, because we want to do them as entire grade levels. And because they will be used in every class, the teachers will expect that, you know, it will allow them to do all their note-taking, their words, their projects, everything that happens in class will then happen on the laptops. Sarah?
So, along that line, are you hiring another IT person? Because I think you're already stretched pretty thin, and I don't know how that's going to be managed once you hire somebody or you contract it out. And 2, are you going to register the classroom so that there's enough power and stuff to accommodate that?
Actually, we've talked to the other districts that do have one-to-one, because we are one of the few who don't, and asked them about how kids are charging up, and what we're being told is they have a power strip at the back of the room. It is just considered the kids understand that they are to come with them charged, but there is a power strip in all the rooms that if a kid forgets or is low, that they can charge, but nobody has seen the need to really upgrade any electricity or that they're having an issue anywhere. Actually, most of them have said that the kids are very responsible because they really like having them. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. There's your tech assistant. Actually, that was a discussion as to whether that should be in year 1 or year 2. And the team put it in year 2. Dean of Students is projected for the high school. Possible new custodian. And it says professional staff because we are anticipating there may be retirements next year, looking at our staff in general. Notice we aren't specifying who's retiring because, you know, we just are anticipating a retirement. We don't want to push anybody out the door. We just want to be able to look ahead and say that this is a possibility. Next year, 9 and 10 go to the laptop, so then the entire high school will be 1-to-1. Dean of Students is somebody who can do some of the roles of an assistant principal, the discipline pieces that consume Mr. McDowell's time, where he doesn't have a chance to be an instructional leader and do some other things that he really needs to do. Unfortunately, they don't need to have a administrative certificate. They can't legally suspend. Actually, suspension's all going through Mr. McDowell. But there is somebody that you can have that can help him with the discipline piece. And actually, in some districts, those people also focus on truancy prevention. You know, they do the discipline and they also work with kids on truancy, which for us would be a good thing. I kind of skipped over the playground. Notice in year 2, here we are. Year 2 is completion of the playground. I know that that's a conversation that the committee is having actually tomorrow afternoon to again, make sure that we're getting what we need and getting it in a place where it needs to be. It's funny because I actually met with the auditor today, and one of the audit findings from the last time was that our playgrounds are not fenced in. So the state sees them as not being secured. Well, the projection for the current playground is no fencing. So that may be something the committee needs to look at, because we're being told that, you know what, it shouldn't be quite so open that anybody can walk onto a playground and take a kid and take off with them, or drive up to a playground and we get out quickly and grab a kid and get away. So that will be a conversation I'll have tomorrow with the committee. So if we could get half of it done this year, and I will tell you the other thing the committee is looking at is we're going to actually survey the kids in the elementary as to what they like to play on. Because we're hearing different things from different people at the elementary as to, you know, maybe what we chose and got the bids on originally really weren't what kids want to play with. So you know what, I said, well, we did it with the reading program. We asked the kids which of the 2 that they piloted they liked best. And not only could they tell us, they could tell us why. And Mrs. Sturgis's class, if I remember correctly, even did was it a Venn diagram that the kids completed on the 2 different reading programs and how they were like and how they were different and how they were the same in the middle. So that would be part of that. Also, the auditorium sound system. There's money put aside in year 1 and year 2 towards that. Year 3, Mrs. Weber? Oh, wait. Yes, sir.
How was it decided of the basis of the sound system? How did you guys split up?
Well, since we don't know yet what we need in a sound system, because that hasn't been determined, it was just to set money aside based on what costs we think we may be looking at. It is. That's what's projected there. And that does not include what the alumni committee is doing. Okay, Mrs. Weber. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Marcy. Howie? Refurbishing the chiller for $82,000. Expectancy of the chiller. You're expecting. How about the load that's on the chiller?
Right now, you're having problems with the circuit. Now, that's not as bad as it was. Something worse to put in high, we're actually getting all that.
Okay, now you're in 3, Mrs. Weber. Year 3 projection is the dean of students for the middle school. Anticipated retirements in special education, classroom teachers, office secretaries, guidance office secretary, school nurse, and a new position, a possible pre-K position. Laptops then become 7th and 8th grade. We start to outfit the middle school. And we are looking hopefully to add an AP biology class. Yes, sir.
I have a question regarding laptops. I see that we're adding more laptops and we're purchasing the laptops, is that correct?
Yes.
I know that I do that, and what the computer I use for is a leased computer and works out very well financially for my employer.
Mr. Covey?
Just cost versus, once they handle all the repairs and the issues that come up, it might be a long-term cost savings.
I'm sorry.
Laptops, the technology becomes obsolete so fast that they would have to use it if they would upgrade them. She would have to buy more the next time.
We'll look into that. The tech equipment pretty much just stays. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, On your number two, there's a line item for storage for $107,000. Do you elaborate on that?
Mr. Crevier, sand storage. Four. And you don't have to scroll over, but I will tell you where it says anticipated retirement. Beyond that, it says replacement is based on enrollment needs. So even though they're there, we will base replacement at that time on the enrollment and actually the needs of the district. Yes, sir.
One thing I'm not seeing is additional staff as far as teaching goes. And I did learn this week that apparently kindergarten registration was one of the highest they've had in 10 years. And I don't see any, we say anticipated retirement based on staff, and we may not need to hire somebody. I don't see any additions in there in case we do need to hire. We need 3 teachers in year 4. I haven't seen that yet.
That's because right now, this is projected on what we know to be true. I mean, what we actually have sitting in front of us. So.
Along the same line, I have a question about, because I heard the same thing about kindergarten registration. And obviously, we want to see now and all this. But the way we currently sit, we're in a crisis, in my view, for kindergarten aides. And elementary aides, because there needs to be more aides. And I see some great positions being added here in pre-K. That would be a fantastic program. I'm all for it. But we need to make sure that we have going on first. So I'm wondering why I don't see anything thus far. Maybe I missed it about something.
There are no additional elementary aides here. Like I said, I asked the administrators to put out what they felt were needed. And this is where we're standing at the moment. Mrs. Bridgewine, do you want to discuss the kindergarten registration?
Historically, for kindergarten registration, when we have appointments and people come for appointments, historically, we've averaged around the low 40s to mid 40s. This year, we actually have 57 students come for appointments. That is the highest that we've had over the years. And we do get a few students over the summer.
So I guess my question would be, do you see a need for additional kindergarten aides or the aides who have longer hours, especially with the.
Well, the aides are in our first year, they all have been up to full status as Ms. Kugler had shared. That was happening in the first year.
And when I say full status, that means that they will be here the whole time kids are in the building. Currently, they leave and kids are still here. And, so that's why the half an hour, that will put that at the same amount of time the kids are here. Yes, sir, Mr. Thomas.
Where are the high school bleachers that we need to be?
They are in here somewhere. They're right there. Year 4.
Yeah, where are they?
Oh, in the gym, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Valley Elementary asbestos. They come and recheck the floors?
They don't physically test the asbestos, it's the same asbestos it was 40 years ago, but they want to see the condition that it's in test. As long as it remains in good condition.
We'll make sure that you all understand that that asbestos is capsulated. It's not out where anybody's breathing it in or getting to it. Final year. Year 25, 25. Oh, that's not. Physics and math teacher. Unfortunately, we were afraid one may be retiring at that time. Anticipated one of the principals will be retiring at that time. Classroom teacher as well as the buildings and ground director. Laptops at that time will then be the 3rd and 4th grade. Any final questions? Yes, ma'am. Elementary cafeteria and the sound. It's on there somewhere. Do you remember where? Check. No, I think it got moved to year 2 or 3. Could you check year 2, please? Hmm? Right. It was in there near, Barb had it in year 1, and then the discussion moved it back. Because other things took its place. Okay, I'm looking. I know it's not. How about year 3? Go to year 2. Maybe it was one of the things that got missed, getting moved around, got moved out. Okay. One of the things Mrs. Richwine would remind us we need to add that back because that's over the high school. Thank you, ma'am, for catching that. Other questions? Yes, ma'am. There is a truck on there. The truck is used for plowing, and it's quite old, and actually we're looking at financing it over multiple years, so it really doesn't, at 0%, so it's like $5,000 a year. But that's what the truck is used for. Plowing and hauling well, like today I got a huge skid of PSSA testing materials delivered to my office, so it's used to transport things from the shipping and receiving office back to the district buildings. Excuse me? Skillery does help us out with plowing. They don't do it all. You're either gonna have to, could you, either go to a mic or talk louder.
But that was all great, and one of the things is, yeah, the one last one we attached to the Facebook, because it's leaking. Is that all right?
The roofs are on there. So we're gonna, Mrs. Ripcon's gonna remind us to add back the elementary cafeteria.
It's on both 4 and 5.
I'm sorry.
It's on both 4 and 5.
Oh, one of those probably was supposed to be the elementary. Okay, thank you. Weber's agreeing that one of them is the elementary. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Mrs. Weber, you can shut that down, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Berkeley. Okay, now we'll have the student representative report.
Well, there's not too much to talk about. It's only been 2 weeks since I last talked to you guys. For the elementary, they had their talent show, and it was a pretty big success. They had a lot of talent there, and it ranged from what the students performed, and everyone enjoyed it. For the high school, there was a high school musical that happened Friday and Saturday, and that was a pretty big success too. A lot of people came out for that, so thank you for everyone who came. I saw Mr. McDowell there. Miss my Bam Eater. I don't know if anyone else made it, but Miss myself. And then one more thing on my mind that I wanted to say. Yes, and pep rally for the high school. Everyone saw Miss McDowell is big. I wasn't there for it because I had a field trip up in Penn State, but I heard that one of my friends and actually saw it. He shaved his beard off for the pep rally. They raised up enough money for him to shave his beard, so instead of looking like an 18-year-old kid, he looked like a 12-year-old. So that was pretty amusing to me, and that's everything that I came to talk about.
Austin, you should ask him to do a replay of that pig.
I believe the video is on Facebook somewhere. So.
Austin, I think they forgot to tell you, but Thursday night is elementary literacy night, where people will be reading to the students. So if you have a young one, please bring them out and participate.
Thank you, Austin. And now we'll move on to the business manager's report.
I think we've had enough numbers for one night. We are working on the budget. Nothing really different from the last meeting. We hope to present at the next meeting in April. I'm trying to pull everything together, figure out what the state's actually going to end up giving us. I think we're going to present based on last year's numbers at first, because we really don't know what those numbers are going to end up being. But as you can see from the 5-year plan, and you can imagine, we're just working on a lot of numbers right now. So we'll present in April.
Thank you. Okay, now we're at the public comment portion of our meeting. And the first person to speak is Sarah Laird.
First of all, I wanted to say thank you. My kids started right at the end. Very pleasantly surprised by the managed music my kids. It's very modern and nice, and they came with very cool, great dance from my day. It's very exciting for the kids to perform. However, on that last Friday when we had that crazy snow, I did have some concerns, so we can actually handle that. But thank you. The kids are very excited to have a shorter ride home from school and to be on. So thank you very much. I also want to speak calm about tonight's meeting. I understand that the 5-year plan was announced that was going to be presented at this meeting at a meeting last week, but the agenda that was originally posted didn't include that. So I would just like to ask that possibly the 5-year plan get represented, maybe posted, and then maybe have a special meeting when people could actually look at stuff ahead of time and come in. Because I think a lot of people didn't know that it was happening.
Next up is Robin Brown.
Okay, good evening. Several of us from the Alumni Association are here this evening to present to the board some of the issues and challenges that we face with the technical equipment with our sound system. And might add, I'm very pleased to see that that was on the agenda. I had a hard time reading it, but it was good to see that that was on the 5-year plan. And I know internally everybody is aware of some of our problems and issues, but it may be enlightening for some of the other people that are here this evening to know some of the issues that we do have to face with that. First, I'd like to say that the Alumni Association has donated $5,000 to date for the upgrade of the sound system, and we are in the process of planning an additional fundraiser. The Gettysburg Civic Choral Group, in cooperation with some other special groups from our own elementary, middle, and high schools, will present a spring concert on Saturday, May 23rd in this auditorium. We hope to give the message through this concert that music is ageless and can be a source of enjoyment throughout one's life. All the proceeds from this event will be donated to the school for the upgrade of the sound system. So please mark your calendars and plan to attend and support this event. We presented to the property committee in February 2015 to purchase. The total equipment package will cost, as we're aware of at this point in time, approximately $30,000 with what we are aware of that is needing to be replaced. Granted, that seems like a huge undertaking, but there are several possibilities that could make this goal more achievable, and that is possibly doing this project in phases. We have another public comment tonight that will address that a little more in detail. Here is a list of some of the technical difficulties and challenges that the tech department and crew face each and every time there is a setup for a performance or program. They strive to the best of their ability to set up the best possible sound experience for each and every function in our auditorium based on the quality of our equipment that the school has to offer. The amplifiers have been strained over the years from being misused. Some equipment has been added, and therefore the amps can no longer support the demand. Our speakers do not have built-in amplifiers. The hope will be to purchase speakers with built-in amplifiers so that if one goes out, it will not affect the others and take out the whole system. Any audience member sitting in rows approximately 1 through 6 cannot hear from the hanging mics because the speakers are pointed toward the back of the auditorium. There are not enough microphone jacks to properly mic the stage, so we currently need to use an alternate soundboard. If something happens, for example, squeaking, the crew has to turn all the mics off. This is a result of, I'm sorry, we do have some other members that can continue to address this. I apologize.
Dave Metz.
Yes, Dave Metz with the Alumni Association, proud alumni member of Class of '74. about issues with the sound equipment. Some of what you mentioned, the sound board in the booth has not been used properly, which causes us a lot of static and problems there. I guess I'd like to, another time, I better sit down. There's a lot of problems which can be issued, which can be looked at. These lists will be forwarded to anyone interested, all the proper board members, et cetera, et cetera. We know that everyone sitting here tonight has a child, grandchild, relative, friend, or neighbor that motivates them to come to the many outstanding vocal or band performances, all the different performances, plays, graduation, awards programs, and many other events held in the auditorium. We also know that we are all on board with the thought that every time a student steps on this stage, after all the hard work and practice and dedication it took to stand here, deserves to have the best possible experience on the stage that our school can provide, as well as each supporting audience member deserves to also have the best possible experience. It boils down to a sense of pride for what we have to offer here at Fairfield Area School District. We need to move forward into the future with this sense of pride, not only for our students and their accomplishments, but in our school to make it known in this community that we stand behind and support our students in every way possible. So we are asking the board to make the upgrade of the sound system a priority. As pointed out, it looks like years 1 and 2 of the 5-year plan suggested by Ms. Gunther. But we're asking the board to make the upgrade of the sound system a priority for the agenda for 2015. We as the Alumni Association believe this project is of utmost importance and challenge the school board to get on board with us and vote to move forward and begin the task of searching the budget to help finance this project and to begin the bidding process. We also ask and encourage the school board to consider including Noteworthy and Gettysburg under the umbrella of ASP Sound when it comes time for the bidding process. We've had a long-standing professional relationship, with Noteworthy, and it's definitely a local business that cares about and stands behind the products that they sell. One more additional thought would be when we have a new sound system, how amazing it might be to offer weekend community theater shows, musical productions for the community as a fundraiser, as a possible fundraiser for the continued upkeep of our sound and lighting system. Thank you much for your time and consideration.
Robin and Dave, and I guess Nancy will be coming up too. Can we get a copy of your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
In the last 10 years, I've attended concerts and musicals in all of the county schools except Upper Adams and Delone, and never had any problem hearing every word and note, but I can't say the same for us here at Fairfield. You all know that the sound system is already old and outdated, and that it's become necessary to rent additional sound equipment, particularly for the drama and musical productions. Just this past weekend, I attended Annie, and our students did a great job, and they need to be congratulated. Parents must be proud, teachers must be proud, and any of you attended, you should be proud. But I couldn't hear every word, and I was only sitting in the 6th row, I believe, maybe the 5th, and I was in the 5th. Obviously, they explained why that might have been somewhat of a problem. The kids did a great job in spite of delayed rehearsals because of snow closings and all of that. I encourage you to include the $25,000 year 1 and year 2 as presented tonight by Ms. Kugler to upgrade the sound system. I don't know where the money's coming from, whether it's coming from the McDaniel sales, property sale, or some other place, but I encourage you to do it. Robin mentioned tonight about the concert on the 23rd. That's a fundraiser that the Alumni Association is doing. I encourage you all to attend. And I want to add that there will be several alumni and several Fairfield residents that will be performing in that Gettysburg Civic Chorus that proves once again that Fairfield students can continue to use the music program for the rest of their lives if they so wish. And I encourage you to make the decision soon so that we don't have to wait several years until somebody says, okay, let's do a sound system. We need it now.
Jacob Arbutus. Guess it's time to wrap up on the sound system. One of the things I wanted to bring up was I started in the tech group back in 10th grade, and by the end of the first year, Katie Myers and I teamed up to try to figure out how to make the system better. And over the course of my time here, after school, I've went further into education in the sound, and now I'm a recording arts and sound sciences major. And I've come back for the last 2 years to help the students and bring a sound system in. That's what if any of you came to Annie, that system is what the school would have if you go into the purchase of the system. One of the things that I suggest is the phases is personally, you start off with the board and the input runs first if you do a 3-step phase. Then you go to the main speakers, which would be, you'll be able to hear it from front to back without a problem. And then you do all the monitors and the miking last. One of the other things is, personally, I represent All Sound Pro. My hours would be donated, a third of them would be donated towards a project because I care about the students. I volunteer my time every year so that they can learn with the best equipment possible. And one of the things I also want to bring up with, keep this in the back of your mind because technology has changed rapidly in the last 15 years since the system was installed in 99-2000. And some of the concerns is the runs of the electric and the sound wiring is possibly not up to code anymore. Those things change very rapidly. So if you just keep that in mind, and thank you for your time, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, McKenna.
I thought to go for you, but I ran a few rounds, 5 years.
Anyways, I just came in because I wanted to give a big round of applause for myself to Dr. Janet Rachmaninoff, who is our counselor here. Hope I said that right. Otherwise, I'm going to call her Dr. Dory's mom for the rest of the evening. I had a wonderful chance to go on the 10th grade career fair this year. I went as an aide for my son. This is something that counselors from around Adams County and different schools put together every year. It's held at Gettysburg College campus. Every single 10th grader from 8 different high schools and Lincoln Intermediate Unit are brought to Gettysburg campus. They're given a sheet with the 3 classes, the 3 careers that they wanted to hear a presentation on. They're given a map, and hopefully they made it there. They get to listen to 3 presenters talk about different careers, career opportunities, jobs. They give them these little sheets to fill out about what presentation they went to and what they thought about it. And then we get them all back on the bus. This year we did get all of our 10th grade students accounted for with no extras. Now, what I found amazing about this, I had so much fun because I actually got to go to the presentation since I was there as an aide. They had everything from accountant to welder. Now they need to get a zoologist next year, so they go A to Z. There were over 50 different career and career fields for the students to choose from. We had accountants, chiropractors, dentistry, construction, law enforcement, interpreters, horticulture, an amazing array of people that these counselors have been able to get to donate their time to speak to our students, other students in Adams County. So I wanted to just say a big thank you to Dr. Rachmaninoff for being involved in this, and this is certainly something I strongly feel Fairfield should stay involved in and supportive of because it was just wonderful. My only complaint is I wish they could have gone to a couple more presentations, but there's 8 high schools we got to get through. That's it.
Shelley Klein.
Hi, I'm a mom of a 7th grader, 5th grader, and a 2nd grader here.
And I just wanted to share my concerns about the proposed 5th and 6th grade time change. I recently sent Mrs. Kugler an email that I'd like to share now. I am very much opposed to the proposed 5th and 6th grade time change back to elementary time. I feel this would be detrimental to 5th and 6th graders' state of mind, psychological well-being, and ultimately their education. It is a big transition to the middle school, one that most kids are excited and nervous about, but also feel honored to be considered a big kid. If the time has changed, they will lose that big kid feeling. They'll not only feel not a part of the middle school atmosphere, and still feel trapped as an elementary schooler riding the bus with young kids, but yet in a big, different building. These kids need to stay on middle school time. The bar should be set high for them so they can rise to it. Sending them back to elementary time and bus will only lower the bar. I think in the long run, it would impact grades and their education. I also feel that moving 5th and 6th graders to an elementary bus is not in the best interest of kindergartners and 1st graders. I think this is going to cause more problems amongst the riders and the bus drivers on already overcrowded buses. My son is in 5th grade, and it's preposterous to think he'll be moved back in time, so to speak. He transitioned this year to middle school building and time. The thought of him going back to the elementary bus and time next year is absurd. I'm also curious as to why the 6th graders are even being considered in this change. Most middle schools are 6th through 8th, and recently I've heard of more and more 5th graders in a middle school building, so it's not unheard of. I understand parents of younger kids have worries and fears of this transition and their exposure to older kids and environments with them, but their worries are not validated. I also have great concern as to how this whole decision-making process for the switch is being handled. A survey was sent home with no specifics on the change. Nothing attached with any detailed description of schedules and possible impacts. I feel that parents may be voting without all the facts, especially the 3rd and 4th graders without any older children. I'm also concerned that only 3 grades are being surveyed. It concerns me that 5th grade parents could be outnumbered by the other 2 grades. Not a fair vote. Not a fair vote. Why fix something that isn't broken? The 5th and 6th grade in the middle school building, the middle school high school buses, and middle school time is working. It's ridiculous to change based on fear and no validation. Thank you.
Rachel McNeil.
Good evening. Just a few quick comments. I've missed the last couple of meetings, so I want to congratulate the PTO on the significant amount of money that they raised with their last raffle. And I look forward to seeing how much money is raised with the Race for Education that's coming up, I believe, May 1st. I also want to congratulate Mrs. Meisel Redding, the elementary school counselor. I was a participant with the Career Cafe program that she initiated this year, and I had about 30 students show up for my portion. And she actually had to stop them from asking questions so they could get back to class. I think this is a fabulous program, and I hope she'll be supported next year in returning the program. Quick comment, I can't say anything more than what the last parent did about moving the 5th and 6th graders back to elementary school time. I moved here 7 years ago, and I was flabbergasted that my son going into the 5th grade would be in middle school. And the teachers are phenomenal. Not only the 3rd and 4th grade teachers preparing the students, but the 5th and 6th grade teachers in ensuring that our children's education continues and they adapt and adjust to being a big kid. And I think things should stay as they are. My last comment is the movement of graduation. I'm a little frustrated as a parent of a senior. We all understand weather plays a factor, but the school district had already brought Jocelyn's in. Majority of parents have already ordered the graduation announcements with the May 29th graduation date on it. So now we have to reorder those announcements. Family members have arranged travel to come in for these graduations. And now, and correct me if I'm wrong, an official decision has not been made. It's tentatively June 5th. It just would be nice. We're a little over 2 months away from graduation. Make a decision. Last year, the school year was extended, but graduation did not change. So it would be nice if in this process, the school district would maybe set up a meeting to discuss movement with the seniors and with their families and get some input and maybe bring some other options to the table for the students to prevent having a new graduation date. Thank you.
Rhonda Myers.
I'm Rhonda Myers from Liberty Township. I just wanted to ask, a few years ago we had a program, it was a guest teacher program, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Apparently you needed at least 6 parents or people in the community who have bachelor's degrees to participate. And if you pass this course, you would automatically be considered a guest teacher. I was wondering if we had the opportunity to bring that back instead of using this substitute service thing that was mentioned a few school board meetings ago. So I was going to email you, but I thought, oh, here, I'll just ask you. I don't know if the rest of you are familiar with it, but it seemed to be a really great program. And I know of at least 6 parents, 3 who are teachers who have let their certification lapse who would definitely do this. And I know of a lot of other stay-at-home moms and dads who would also help in this program. Secondly, since I'm up here, I might as well give my opinion on the 5th and 6th grade. You know, when my kids were in kindergarten, I was extremely nervous. Same deal. When they moved to 5th grade, I was extremely nervous, but you know what? The teachers are fantastic. The move was seamless, and I think if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Good evening. Something just caught my attention earlier as the alumni were trying to speak, and I was just curious. I know we started this strict timing of our public comments. Oh, what was that, October 21st? I don't think you had a problem then, and I definitely don't think there's a problem now. Feels a little rude to cut off our alumni at 3 minutes. Carroll Valley Borough meetings cut off at 5 minutes, but there's no timekeeper. It's just a respect. I have that respect, and I hope you do too. I love that we have a lot of parents that feel great about their kids in 5th and 6th grade. I do love that. But I'm one of those nervous Nelly parents, and my child is not yet in 5th and 6th grade. After researching the standards for the state, 5th grade should not be in the middle school. 5th grade, by all standards, is an elementary age. It's an elementary grade. The cafeteria in the middle school and high school have 3 separate standards they have to meet. 5th grade, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. If 5th grade was in the elementary school building, that would alleviate the high school and middle school from compensating for that 5th grade meal because the elementary school is already preparing the elementary standard meal K through 5. There are other things to take into account: population, size of the building. The elementary school building right now is extremely underutilized and has room for the 5th grade students, whom again, from state standards, are elementary students. The bus change is ridiculous. I agree. Why they bring 6th grade into a bus change? They're already used to the 5th grade schedule. I don't think putting kids on different buses is going to solve this problem. I know it'll add to other problems, busing, kids that are, in 5th grade, changing times. So that's definitely something that we need to look at more on the geographical change, not a time change. Thank you.
Bob Stanley.
Well, let's see, I have 2 or 3 things tonight. Pam Mixell's daughter, Dani, called Caroline and I, and she asked us to come in and do a little session on what do you want to be in life? And it was wonderful with the group. We got into, of course, the NASA discussion because of my background. They all decided they wanted to be astronauts. And I pointed out that we're looking for astronauts to go to Mars. It takes 9 months one way. So you have to devote like 2 years of your life to go to Mars and come back. I said, how many of you still want to go? And they all raised their hands. So that's not too bad. We got into a discussion of Halley's Comet every 75, 76 years. And we talked about Pluto. Well, Halley's Comet doesn't quite get to Pluto, it goes just outside Neptune. And they all told me, well, Pluto is no longer a planet. You know, it's a moon. So we had a long discussion on that. So the kids are really bright. They're really learning. They love it. So that's the first subject. Second subject is I wanted to talk briefly about security once again. I'm very concerned about security here in the school. We did have a chance to talk to both Chuck and Karen, kind of the three of us in a room for half an hour. And I would like to come in sometime and give a presentation to the whole board if I could. If you'll invite me, I'll be glad to do that. And then finally, we go in and we, at least in the elementary school, talk civics. Because I always feel that so many of our country members have no idea what civics is all about. So I developed a presentation on the federal government, the state government, and the local government, and also cover the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and all 27 amendments of the Constitution. Now that takes about an hour. And this has caught on with the kids so much that now we're going adult. Because the adults don't quite have an idea what's going on either. So April has set up a session next Monday night in the fire hall, and we're having a constitutional meeting. We're going to discuss all the stuff I just mentioned. And now, of course, all the candidates are coming in. We're going to have Marty Qualley and a few other folks. I'm not quite sure how many, but I'd like to invite all of you. It's a freebie. The fire hall costs us nothing. We'll talk for an hour, hour and a half, and talk about the candidates, what it's all about to be an American, live in a republic and a democracy, and realize that so many veterans fought for us over the years to have the right to vote. We all want to get out and vote. Thank you.
What's the date on that?
It's next Monday night at 6:30 in the fire hall in Fairfield. Still on, right, April? She's the organizer, so I'm just the speaker.
Okay, do we have any committee reports? From the Education Committee, whenever a concern is brought to us by a parent, I think we, as a board, have a duty to research that concern and find as much data as we can. In reference to the middle school schedules, we tried to go through that process, and one of the vehicles we needed to explore was to have some way to survey parents to get their feedback. I think we went through that process. That was one of the tools we needed to do, and I think Karen may have something she can report on that.
And for those of you who were concerned there wasn't equal representation, actually out of the amount of third graders had 40% representation, fourth grade had 58%, and fifth grade had 52% in all the surveys. It was overwhelming, 67% not to do anything, to leave it as it was. So that was a recommendation that I gave to Lonnie earlier, provided him with the information. The biggest concern the parents who responded to the surveys had was, amusingly, 35%, biggest concern was 27% of fifth graders riding a bus, but then there was a 45% who had no concerns at all. So I assumed that they were really the biggest. It's interesting because they all wrote other and nothing. So I assumed that meant they had no concerns, so that's what we listed it as. The least concern they did have was indeed the fifth and sixth grade riding the bus, which was 9%, and the respondents, as far as the transition to the high school, the middle school, 55% were completely satisfied with the transitions who have gone through. So the recommendation to the Education Committee was that we just leave it alone as it is, and we did what we were asked to do.
Any director comments?
presentation was fantastic and the students were excellent, but also was Robin's dog, as Sandy, stole the show. Is back when she came out, it's a she, right, Robin? When she came out and heard the audience go, oh, it was really beautiful. And to Becky's presentation about the career fair, I just want to give you a little background about that, since I was a high school counselor for 30 years in this county. And in 2000, the year 2000, because each of the high schools had been doing career fairs, and we were sharing the same people all the time, and it was so much work to do singly in each high school. That's when the counselors got together and said, why can't we utilize all of us to, and also make contacts? And that's how we got more careers than we could have done solely in our own high schools. And Gettysburg College has always been wonderful about donating that time, and the time period that it's offered is always when the college students are on spring break, so that there's no conflict with our students being there with the college students. And not only is it a wonderful opportunity for our 10th grade students, and the reason we chose 10th grade was because they're just coming into the high school, they've had 1 year of high school, and now they've really got to think about the courses that they're signing up for the following year and the year after. And so that was the time to actually have them do these explorations of careers. And now I lost my train of thought, it's just because I'm getting older. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that background of how that got started and why it continues. And so for 15 years, not only does Gettysburg College host us for, not us, but all the high schools, for the career fairs, but we do a college fair for juniors and seniors on the college too. So just thanks for bringing that up.
I had an opportunity last week to meet with the district attorney.
The guest teacher program. Actually, I do know about it because I actually developed it. And it was it was a 2-day session. It took an enormous amount of planning, and I don't know where the number 6 came from, to be perfectly honest, because I've actually done it with as many as 15, as little as 2. So I'm not sure where the number 6 came from. That is one of the things I would love to reincarnate. Now I will say, when we did it before, I actually thought it was important. The second day, I actually put them in classrooms and had them observe classroom teachers. I thought about it for the future that maybe it'd be a good thing to do in the month of July or August, so that we had them already on board when school started. You must have a bachelor's degree in any subject in order to qualify to be a guest teacher. And then you're actually given an emergency certificate from the state once you've completed the training. The school district says, yes, they deemed you qualified. So there wasn't really any test, it was more of a discussion. But there was training on, what they could expect in the classroom, how they could prepare themselves to go into a physics class when they've never had physics in their lives, and survive. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So yes, we will, that is one of the things that I have in the back of my mind to resurrect again, because that is something we need to do. As far as the source for teachers, actually that's been taken, you notice that was not anywhere in the 5-year plan, because it's been taken out of the 5-year plan, because after meeting with some of the representatives, and I wasn't getting the answers that I was looking for, as well as when I looked at other options. You know, hopefully we can do it within house. I am going to come back to the board to raise the sub rate and hope that we can get that, get that through so that we can get more people who will come and stay in here.
Karen, can I ask a question about this? Guest teacher.
Sure.
How long is the training? How many hours or how many days?
I did it for 2 days and it was full days.
2 full days?
Yep. I know other districts don't take that much time. Actually, they use some of my, like, let's see, New Oxford did one this year, and they had actually asked for what I had done, so I'd given them some notes from what I've done in the past. They thought that was a little over the top. They didn't provide their teachers or their guest teachers to go into classrooms and actually observe. And I actually made sure they observed at both the elementary, middle school, and high school the day they were observing, so they really got a feel for what it was like to be in those classrooms. And then we actually gave them the opportunity to say, yeah, they were told that they had to, if they were called, any of the buildings could call them, but they could prioritize it. Some people really aren't secondary people, and some people aren't really elementary people. So we didn't give them that option to rank, but we also explained to them if, at that time, if we really need them, they would be called at any building. We understood that. Yes, Lisa?
I was one of the teachers that was actually involved in Karen had the guest teachers visit, and it was very productive because we knew ahead of time. So there were certain things I pointed out to the guest teachers as a teacher that they might want to know about. So I had arranged some of my teaching that day, so I could have a couple of minutes to talk to the guest teacher. I thought it was very worthwhile, and they were great. It was a great day, and they came to visit.
As far as graduation goes, there will be a recommendation to the board at the next board meeting. Mother Nature was very nice. Whoever did their snow dance or to get rid of their snow dance, thank you. There are some options that I've approached with the board in executive session that we can discuss in the future. But right now, I can guarantee you pretty much the graduation will not be on May 29th. But we are doing our best to keep it in, and I've heard some, I'm sorry, I can't remember, something, saying, thank you, safe and sane. I've listened, I've heard them that, the fire hall is not available on Friday night, so I'm trying to create a scenario that it won't be Friday night.
It wouldn't be available Thursday night either.
Okay, those of you who want to deal with Mr. Stanley and his 9 inches of snow on Friday.
Do we have anyone else?
I think about it that Anthony Benson, seniors put on good TV beginning last Sunday night. If you missed it, but it was good. How much more the station saying?
Okay, now we can move on to the consent agenda. Are there any objections to considering it in the whole? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve the consent?
I move we accept.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mrs. Moscato? Yes. Mr. LaFever?
Yes.
Mrs. Meisel? Yes. Mrs. Van Meter? Mr. Wickham?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just giving them some information based on my objectives for my contract. It wasn't the graduation percent.
And that's not something that
It wasn't a discussion, it was just information. I mean, I can tell you that I'm checking with the state as to what options we have. I do know what one is, which is to actually change teacher and service days, go back and petition the state to make them act 80 days, which make them student days. So a total of 2. That would take us back into the week that we're now out of. It would take us back to Thursday. Whether or not, you know, again, we get 9 more inches of snow, I don't even want to think.
Think about it.
Yeah, really, I don't even think about that. So that is what, you know, I just let them know that there are options that I'm investigating. District assignments actually was it's funny because district assignments made people nervous. It has nothing to do with moving teachers or doing anything like that. District assignment is actually the district spreadsheet as to, in our board policy, we have a that's the word, thank you. The organizational chart, that's what I was looking for. Thank you, Brooke. The organizational chart in our current board policy book, actually, Mr. Crevier, you do not exist. I never existed. The assistant principals that we had at one time never existed because it was never updated from 1992. So that was one of the objectives that I put within my contract to update. So that was presented as part of my contract, update to the board as to my goals tonight as to what I'm proposing. And that will be coming before the board in the future because it's actually board policy will actually come before them for a vote. You look confused. Mrs. Briggs, you look confused. Okay. The organizational flow chart, which is actually, you know, it starts out with the board and then the superintendent reports to the board. And on our current flow chart, you know, the building principals are listed, the director of technology is not listed, the curricular, you know, special ed was never listed. The assistant principals we've had in the past were never, you know, appear nowhere on this chart, so these people never existed within the organization. So my goal was just to update it, and that is actually one of the questions that the auditor had this week, you know, because they're looking at the flow chart saying, well, you're really out of compliance. I said, well, actually, that was one of my goals, and that's being proposed to the board, so that made her happy.
That's another document that is way out of date. It's 23 years out of date.
On the same line, I'm just curious with March now, and I guess we just had a presentation quite a few months ago. And if anything starts to happen in the car, it will make sense for that position as well as is there an advertisement out or is there any sort of election going on? Is anything happening about that? Is there a time frame that needs to happen? I know it takes a while to get from the church.
There is no advertisement, and at this point, there is no formal action being taken. Let me get the tagline. Coordinator of Curriculum and Special Programs. I actually developed a new job description for that because of the likelihood that you would never find somebody with the credentials to do curriculum and special education and some of the other things. So that position, that proposed position will be coming to the board for approval. I am working on that because I know Mrs. McQuaid is very concerned about what's happening in special ed, and so am I. So that position will be coming to the board so that we can get it advertised and get somebody in place.
Yeah, it's not static, it's moving. Karen's work.
think I need to do 56 because I already did it. I did it earlier. And at your places, you should have the LIU annual school directors election ballot. No? Okay. Okay, I have it, and I will send it down to you. It needs to be completed. There's not a whole lot of voting to happen anyhow. And if you could complete that and get back to me, it's actually due back to the IU by the 30th of April. Yeah, no,
Okay, that concludes it. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second? All in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned.
Yeah, I know. Well, I forgot the extension cord and having not been in here.